Welcome to Two Tired Dads Comic Club. I'm tired,
And I'm a dad.
and we are the Tired Dads. We'd love for you to join our club. You don't need to be a dad. All you need to do is love comics because, let's be honest, you're probably tired. For those of you who haven't seen this before, and that's all of you because this is the first official episode, I'm Bunk B.
And I'm Carl.
We are going to be talking here about some of our favorite summer reads. So, as we are recording this, we are pretty early into the school year. We're kind of unfortunately leaving behind summer. We're moving into fall. Looking forward to start football season, getting the leaves changing color. However, it does mean that we're saying one last fond farewell about the comics that helped shape our summer beach season. But before we get into that, Carl, how the heck are you?
I'm doing great. Today was the first day the kids went back. So it was a big day. My son just went into kindergarten. So that was a huge,
Nice,
huge,
nice.
big day. And then my daughter's in third grade now. So, of course, different schools that start at the same time. So there's that whole car line thing we got to deal with. But yeah, it was a great day. They both had a really good day and they're excited. So,
I feel you on the different start time. So as we have talked about, not on the podcast before, my kids are almost exactly your same gap, sort of minus a year. So my daughter started second grade, and we started a little bit earlier. So we've been back now for, I want to say this is our third week. My son's in preschool, and so it's that same kind of thing that it's like my daughter's bus picks up about an hour earlier than preschool starts. And of course, coming off of the 3-day weekend, kind of getting into that, getting out. It's been a whole thing, but
it's always the
I'm
worst. Like
excited.
when they start before
Oh, yeah.
and then take them out of the schedule right away. It's like, come on. So
I,
I'm thankful we start right after Labor Day.
I do kind of like that Labor Day happens in there because it's kind of an ease into it. It's like, the first week, it's a short week. Then you have, you have a full week. So, you go through that, but then it backs off and you get a little bit of that easing in. So, you get that 4 days. So I do kind of like that a little bit. It messes up schedules, like I said, but it's kind of allows you to wade into the water before just jumping right in.
It actually gave us the opportunity. We made a quick trip to Florida right before school started last week. We were down there and went to Harry Potter World and went to
Did you
Magic
have a
Kingdom. So
butterbeer?
had a butterbeer. Yeah, my son not a fan. My daughter loved it. So, but he liked the pumpkin juice though. Had a
Okay.
pumpkin juice and he's like he much preferred that. So
Get some Birdie Bots every flavor beans.
that is the one of the souvenirs they brought home as well. But
Nice.
they're smart and they threw away all the vomit and boogered flavored jelly beans. They like went through and like nope, get rid of them.
This is just a quick tangent before we hit this. But I remember when the books were first coming out, I took my little sister to a midnight release party for book 7. And as part of that, they were selling sets of the Birdie Bots every flavor beans. I'm sure they're slightly different than the ones they have now, but we bought the big pack where they had them all separated out, so it wasn't all just mixed up. And driving back from there, my sister had one of the rotten eggs,
Oh,
and just her eating that jelly bean, the whole car smelled like rotten eggs the whole drive back. And I do not live close to books. Well, I didn't at that point. It was like 40 minutes of stuck in this
oh,
car while she's
oh.
in the back seat reading as much as she can, while I'm driving. Very distinctive, one of those core memories
That
unlocked
locks
here.
in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but at the time, it was very unpleasant. I'm like, can't believe I don't even get to be the one reading it, and now I got to deal with this rotten egg.
terrible. They're terrible. I think they got rid of those as well. They told me they went through and got all rid of all the bad ones and yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Vomit. I remember like the first time I had that one. Weirdly, it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones, but I was like, this jelly bean burns in the back of my throat. I
it's like
don't.
that part seems accurate.
Yeah, no, no. They hit that sensation kind of well. And as
Yeah.
someone who's not a fan of vomiting, I was like, I
I
don't know
mean,
why I would go back for another.
yeah, it's like no, and I commend them for just like you know what? No, the fun's over. We are not. We tried one. There's no need to try that any of those again. So Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the other one. I think earwax was like the other flavor I remember, which was just sort of like bland and banal. Like it wasn't offensive, but it didn't really taste like anything.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, yeah, this is kind of like jelly beans are naturally kind of a waxy texture, and this is
Like
waxy.
I asked them, I said, what's your favorite of the bad ones? And they both said soap. I was like, okay. Which it just tasted like clean, I guess. I don't know. But it wasn't a terrible taste. So
So that, and I swear this is the last story before we get into our summer reads. But did you ever watch the movie Super Troopers?
yes.
Okay. So I'm from Vermont originally. It's where the movie was takes place. Came out while I was in high school. So my friends and I were, had a period of time where we were quoting that all the time, and it was, this big thing. And I remember I was at a party and I went to go get a soda, and a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, hey, while you're up, can you get me one too?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." And I looked, this was not at my house, so I didn't know where everything was, but I like looked around the kitchen like sink to see if I could find a bar of soap to then put it in so that like the whole joke for those that haven't seen it is there's one of the cops, Farva, he gets coffee and it comes back with the bar, so and they go, "Oh, look, a bar of soap. Great prank, Farva." And that's what I was going for. That's what I like. It very clearly, it's stupid. You can see it. It's all out in the open. I could not find a bar of soap. What I could find was dish soap.
Oh boy.
And I put a fair amount in there, thinking my buddy, he's gonna like try it like a sip, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, you
Oh,
put soap in there," and we're gonna get basically the
the
same
same.
scene.
Yeah.
Nope, no, I give it to him, and he swigs this whole thing back,
Oh,
and he's just like, "What was?" And I was like, "No, you weren't supposed to do that." And I felt so bad that I was like, "All right, just here's mine. Go put soap, and
yeah.
I'll do the same thing."
I fair is fair.
And I like my parents never had to do the whole like wash your mouth out with soap, so I don't know if it's the same thing. But the like when you're using dish soap, it like coats everything. If you get on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
it's just
Yep.
like it's like that with your mouth,
Ooh.
and you can't taste anything. So it was like for the next at least an hour. I want to say it was like 2-ish hours. I was just going and like trying foods and like being like, this
Nope.
is so weird because like I can so like M&Ms for instance, I would like
Yeah.
grab them and I was like chewing them and it was like you have the candy coating
Your
and I could
brain's
do
telling you the texture, like it's familiar.
yeah, but like my neurons aren't firing anything sweet. There's nothing going on. It's like I'm going through this motion and nothing else is registering because like I'm so coated on my taste buds. It was very,
No.
very weird.
That's bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So if anyone is looking to recreate that classic scene from Super Troopers, don't use dish
yeah,
soap. It will
that's the
not go
lesson.
well.
Do not do that. Yeah.
But
Unless
with
you want to
that,
like impress your friends that you can eat disgusting things, then do that and then eat
that
the disgusting things.
I mean, that was basically that whole The Simpsons episode where Homer, takes the candle and he does the inside of his mouth so he can eat that like super hot pepper, and then he goes on the vision quest. So that is a
Is a
strategy
way
if
you could go. Yeah.
you want to impress your friends. Maybe just get different friends because that doesn't sound particularly appealing. But hey, you live your life. I'm
Yeah.
not here to tell you how to do it. But with those diversions out of the way, like we said at the top of the show, we are sort of moving into fall. We're saying a fond farewell to summer. And before we do that, we want to kind of just relive those summer days and talk a little bit about the books that we read with us. Carl, you mentioned going to Florida. You mentioned, every time I texted you, you seem to be at a day trip going to the beach or
Yeah.
somewhere else like that.
it, it
I
was a
want to
busy
know,
summer. We had our we remodeled our kitchen, so it was like the first half of the summer. Most of the summer was just like here at the house, just going through that terrible. So we had a really busy August where we like crammed in a couple trips, and yeah, so August was vacation heavy for sure.
yeah. Okay. Well, while you were on those vacations, why don't you start us off? What was one of those books, either on vacation or when you think back to this summer? What are the books that you are going to think back to?
So one that I've been enjoying it for a while now, but it actually just I guess it's about a year, but it's the Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch Redcoat series
Mm. Yeah,
from
you've
Ghost
been on that
Machine.
one for a while.
I have been, yeah, but the reason it kind of stands out for the summer was there was a three-part story where up until now, like the first 10 issues or so are all the first six issues are kind of an origin of Simon Pure, who is a British redcoat who gains the powers of immortality, dabble in some founding fathers and occult connection, and it's like a national treasure vibe to it, where the founding fathers were into some interesting things. Um, but so that was like the origin story, and then there was a series of kind of one shot ish stories where he interacts with a bunch of folk heroes like Annie Oakley and Johnny Appleseed, and it's just a fun. It jumps around from time periods, and it's him kind of learning how to not be a jerk. And it just takes him hundreds of years to, change his terrible behavior. But anyway, so over the summer, the past three issues, there was they introduced the character of the Northerner, who is a Civil War era soldier, and supposedly, like, I mean, they are the unnamed section of the Ghost Machine. They're all connected with Geiger, is it Rook Exodus, Geiger,
Yep.
and I guess Redcoat. I'm
Yep.
not
Rook Exodus
current
is the
on.
Jason Fabok
Yeah,
series where they have the animal powers.
yes, I am not current on Rook Exodus, and I'm not current on Geiger. But a Redcoat from the start, I was like, this speaks to me. I mean, I love history connected things, and it's just it's fun. But anyway, so the three-part series, it was issues 11, 12, and 13. The Northerner kind of he introduces himself to Simon Pure. He's kind of been in the background, kind of observing. He kind of pops up in a couple different issues, just teasing like this guy's coming. Who is that? And he finally he shows up and has an adventure with Simon Pure, and kind of forces Simon to make some decisions, and to not sit on the sidelines so much. Much of the series, when he has those one shot kind of interactions with those folk heroes, he doesn't learn a whole lot. He just kind of has that interaction, and then kind of he goes and does his own thing. And the introduction of the Northerner is the first time where it's really he's challenged to say, you're immortal. What are you doing with that? Why are you wasting this opportunity, just being self-centered? It was a good character developing moment for him, and it was super cool. And it felt kind of like a summer blockbuster trilogy type story in the middle of the ongoing series. So that one really stood out.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously Jeff Johns, one of the I would say at this point, one of the titans of the industry who's kind of working now when he's on a project, you kind of pay attention to that. And the different universe that they're going through with Ghost Machine, anytime a new one of those comes out, you talk about it being a blockbuster, it's, making news all over it. Now, as someone who hasn't read Redcoat, but is kind of, from, your videos and listening to you, I've kind of followed along. And this is obviously a series that you've been enjoying. You mentioned it here. You've been, like I said, I know you've been on this one for a while. I I sometimes have a tough time with a series where the main character is kind of a jerk. Um, I think when it's done really well, you get something like Constantine or Constantine, where, you get sort of like an incorrigible rogue. You get a rapscallion type who it's like, you kind of love to be along with them there, even as they're making bad decisions. But I think if you don't do it exactly right, you get Jack of Fables. Have you ever read Fables before?
I've not, no.
Love Fables. Love Fables. Fables.
Heard only good things.
Well, consider this to be another good thing that you're hearing. But one of the characters from that Jack is, Jack and the Beanstalk Jack and that kind of thing. And he is very much that same kind of self-centered, like jerk who's only out for himself and he's looking to make money. And he was never one of my favorite characters in the main series, although he kind of had his he had a reason to kind of be there when he was balanced by everyone else. he got a spin-off series, Jack of Fables, and I really did not enjoy reading that. I thought the main Fable series got better when he left, and then I didn't read all the way through Jack of Fables, but there were some crossover moments where I went back and read it, and it's sometimes tough.
There's a lot of there's a lot of Han Solo in Simon Pure. He's very self-centered,
Yep.
and it's the idea of how do you take this character, and over time he's going to change and he's going to become, a hero of some sorts. It's just that he's so selfish that it just takes such a long time. So I don't find him to be difficult to read. I don't find him
Mm.
to be like a terrible individual. He just doesn't always make the smartest choices. But in certain situations, he will rise to the occasion. It's just, does he learn from them or not? And
Yep.
in many instances so far, he has not. But yeah, I don't find him to be difficult to read.
Okay. Now, are the comics, are they told sequentially? You mentioned, he's sort of gone along, are we seeing some things in sort of like closer to now and then it goes back? Is it jumping around or do we
Yes,
have a sort of okay.
it jumps around, and so you kind of, it's like, where is he in his journey? There's the first six issues, uh his sidekick is a young Albert Einstein. He's like, I think
Okay.
8 or 9, at the time. And there is a really poignant issue. I think it's issue 7. So after there's the first 6 issues, and Einstein, is his sidekick during the story. And then there's it flashes forward. Then issue 7 is he visits Albert Einstein when he's much older and he's on his deathbed, and it's a very poignant issue. So
Hmm.
it's not, he's very self-centered,
Yep.
and it's the idea of how do you take this character, and over time he's going to change and he's going to become, a hero of some sorts. It's just that he's so selfish that it just takes such a long time. So I don't find him to be difficult to read. I don't find him
Mm.
to be like a terrible individual. He just doesn't always make the smartest choices. But in certain situations, he will rise to the occasion. It's just, does he learn from them or not? And
Yep.
in many instances so far, he has not. But yeah, I don't find him to be difficult to read.
Okay. Now, are the comics, are they told sequentially? You mentioned, he's sort of gone along, are we seeing some things in sort of like closer to now and then it goes back? Is it jumping around or do we
Yes,
have a sort of okay.
it jumps around, and so you kind of, it's like, where is he in his journey? There's the first 6 issues, uh his sidekick is a young Albert Einstein. He's like, I think
Okay.
8 or 9, at the time. And there is a really poignant issue. I think it's issue 7. So after there's the first 6 issues, and Einstein, is his sidekick during the story. And then there's it flashes forward. Then issue 7 is he visits Albert Einstein when he's much older and he's on his deathbed, and it's a very poignant issue. So
Hmm.
it's not, he definitely, you see growth in him. And when that issue, especially, you see him think about, the past, think about young Einstein, think about, he feels bad, obviously, because it just shows that being immortal, everyone, you're going to lose,
Hmm.
and it's how he deals with that. So
Nice. So this is a ongoing series, right?
ongoing,
There's
yeah,
no okay. And until further notice, you are fully on board, top of the
yeah,
pile.
yeah. It's one that I really, each time it comes out, it's one I grab first. Like, it's just such a fun, entertaining read, and it feels like a summer movie series.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Well,
What do you got for us?
so most of the ones that I'm actually going to be talking about here are ones I believe you have read, at least to some degree. And I'm going to start out on one that I know you've read and I know you've been a big fan of because we have talked about this one. And I will say that this is, I've been surprised how much I've been loving this and looking forward to that, and that is Exquisite Corpses. So that's coming out right now from Image. It's the new James Tynion new. I want to say the fourth issue of that has come out at this point.
Yeah, I've
Um,
read the first three. I haven't picked up the fourth issue because I think it was one of the weeks where I was gallivanting across the country. I
yeah,
haven't picked up my
as
books, but yeah,
you are like to do
yeah,
this summer. But yeah, and I say this one was a little bit of a surprise for me just because we should also mention that Michael Walsh is the artist on this series, so which absolutely goes right into this series because without Michael Walsh's art, and I believe Mariana Ignazi is the colorist, I think, on that one. But it works so well as a team together. And yep, James Tynion. James Tynion is a guy that I almost kind of take for granted how good he is. It's sort of because like pretty much everything he does comes out as this like for the most part like popcorn like it's he's very much like a Lemire to me where it's like I don't necessarily need to read that series to know it's going to be good and I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't always feel like I need to go out of my way to do it. Like, yeah, I'll get around to it.
yeah,
When Exquisite Corpses first came out, I heard nothing but rave things about it. I was like, it's a new Tynan series. Like, yeah. I read it and I was blown away with how just sort of like bloody fun it is. And fun is a weird word to use it. For anyone
yeah.
who hasn't read it, the whole idea is that basically the whole world has sort of like shadow figures that really decide everything. Like the 12 or I guess it's the 13
Families that,
the 13
yeah,
families that founded the original colonies here in America. They're the ones that actually make the decisions for the entire world. Like they're the ones who allow certain leaders to get elected. It's very much sort of like hidden ruling elite, that kind of thing. And the way they decide who's going to be in charge is every 4 years, is it?
I think it's 5 years just so they avoid making it so similar to an election. I
Yeah.
think it's five. I think
But
it's 5 years.
they're
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah,
after after a certain number of years, they basically decide on some small town that is going to be the staging ground of a battleground for them. Each of the families chooses a champion. So if anyone watched, Game of Thrones, very much like that, you're going out and fighting on behalf of them, and it's 13 different sort of over the top stylistic killers who all have like different styles and like very distinct visual flares that are going out, and it's basically just like a big tournament to see who will be the last killer standing. And unfortunately, the town gets caught in the crossfire. It's they don't care about the normal people there, and each of the families kind of has their own history with the other families, and there's this whole dynamic thing that's happening, and it's just so damn fun. It is over the top, bloody, but like in almost like a Tarantino style bloody. Like there are some times that it like kind of touches on horror, but I would say it doesn't quite fully get there, and it's gruesome. Um, but
it's
I
bloody
I
fun.
I,
It's bloody
I can't.
fun. Like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's it. Like I can't even fully put into words why it hits so hard with me because like if you were to describe all of those things to me, it'd be kind of like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool. But it, I think back to some of my favorite video games, and this like this has been announced that there's a card game that's going to tie in that they're coming out next year, and I think a lot of the appeal of sort of how they design the characters is that they can be sort of merchandised with that, which
mhm.
is not a knock against it, and in fact I think kind of the opposite.
I think it
But
works in the favor.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I think of there was a game that came out at this point, probably no, it was 20 years ago, called Killer 7. I don't know if you
I've
ever
not.
recall it.
No.
So the idea is that there's there's a like a hired killer who who goes through, and he has seven different personalities that you sort of flip through, and like they all play in different ways, and they're all super stylish, and they have like different weapons that they use. And it reminds me a lot of this comic in the best way.
Yeah,
And again, I can't say enough, both with Michael Walsh's line work and just the color palette that they're using on this. It is, even when I don't want it to be, any week that this comes out, it's like a top of the pile. I gotta grab right away. At the end of every issue, you get it actually has like a bracket style
yeah,
tournament
yep.
where you get to see which one was killed, and then you see one of the people advance down on the bracket, and just as little things like that. They've done the branding for this so well.
That's what I was gonna say. Like that's the thing that really kind of stands out and what makes the concept that much more fun because you put it in the sense of a tournament. It's there it's a game. It's
Yeah.
a gruesome and gory game, but I enjoy that it really leans into that. And there's not only the who's gonna win the this tournament and then be in charge of the shadow government. It's they make side bets with each other, and it's like how many citizens of the town can your chosen representative rack up and kills, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then it's them having their own, like you were talking about, their relationships and their infighting and how they interact with each other, and it just all presents itself as a really entertaining, just a fun horror book. And
But on top of that too, one of the things I think it does that's very smart is a lot of sort of our ride-along characters that we get are the characters that are in the town. And so it's like we are almost experiencing these larger than life personalities through them. By doing that, it doesn't lose the humanity that I think you could if you just make this like
a
from their
numbers
point of
game.
view, and it's just hacking up like
Yeah.
different numbers. So,
Because
there's
it's the town people realizing what's
yeah,
going, because they have no clue what's happening. And they planted seeds early on because they pay off the sheriff in the first issue. They pay off the sheriff and he just
you
leaves.
just yeah,
He just
and one
goes,
of the
and
characters
that's
coming in
part of
is
the
like, well,
deal.
that's weird. Why
Yeah.
why is that happening?
And then
So
there's, you kind of learn that he's kind of passing along maybe some secret messages to other loved ones that are in the
yeah,
town, and to try to give them a head start potentially onto figuring out what's going on. And so there is that human aspect that you
yeah,
still are connected to these, that you would find in typically a James Tynion series. And that's what it keeps you connected, and it's not just, and you're rooting for them. It's not just the shadow government and the tournament, and then that's not just the main story. It's the people that are involved in this situation as well.
yeah. So again, this one came out. I fully expected to sort of skip this one until later, and it has just been a bloody damn delight. And we've talked about it. This is going to make a beautiful hardcover when it
Yeah,
comes out, and I mean, this is going to be one. I think once that happens, people are going to be talking about a
the
lot of
way it's
people are talking about it
structured,
now, but
it, it,
it
it
is going to
had
get this new life.
right. It's going to be like a 12 issue, 13 issue. I'm not sure how. I
I
mean,
assume 13 just because
yeah,
it seems
based on
like
the
we get
numbers.
one of the
Yeah.
characters dying every yeah.
But like having that it's a digestible concept, the tournament, and that's what got me when I picked up the first issue, just because I was like, oh, what's this? I've heard good things. Same thing with you. I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna pick up the first issue, and then I'll probably, if it's good, I'll check it out later. But I got hooked. And Walsh, I love his art. I mean, the Frankenstein series from last year, beautiful book. Could have used more issues of that, but yeah, I it was love this series.
He's also the same artist, and he's sort of the driving force behind the horror anthology series, The Silver Coin. So if anyone had read that previously and was kind of missing that, you're going to get some of that same stuff coming here from him.
That's one I still need to go back and check out, because I'm a fan of his work now.
Yeah. So cool. Well, in your gallivanting beach days, when you are not traveling through to the American Civil War, what else are you reading?
This series might be one that is on your list, because like Exquisite Corpses was on my list, but I took it off because, but I'm happy you brought it up. All right, this is it's by Matthew Rosenberg and Stefano Landini, and we're taking everyone down with us. another one that I'm the way that I read comics anymore is I go to the store and I typically, I'm more interested in like image number ones and like, yeah, there it is. And this is one that uh, same thing. I think I had seen an interview or a YouTube video of somebody talking to maybe it's like a promo video, whatever it was, and I was like, oh, that seems interesting. So it's a story of a father and a daughter. You meet them. She's being her caretakers are these robots and her father is up to something. Don't know. He's just a busy father working on some invention. Then you kind of learn that he's not such a great guy. And then one of the robots and the daughter then go on an adventure. There's a family connection, dysfunctional family. And what I think this book does incredibly well is the humor in it is actually funny. I like the characters. They are there's some terrible individuals in this book, but they're presented in a way that it's fun to read how terrible they are. So it's like a spy thriller, espionage, action, sci-fi. There's elements of a lot of genres in here, and it comes together just so well. Like I every month, I think it's only a 6 issue mini, I
Yep,
believe. Yeah, and they're
yep. That and not even a sister series, but Tyler Boss, his longtime collaborator, came out at the same time with You'll Do Bad Things, both of them 6 issue miniseries that are sort of running concurrent to each other. They
and
went
that
on a
was
big
I un
countrywide tour together.
I unfairly compared the two 'cause they came out. I think they came out the same week. I think the
They
first
they
issue came
they
out
did,
the
and they
same week,
also they toured
so they
together
did that together.
promoting these.
So
So I mean, it's not necessarily being unfair. Like I met the two of them.
yeah,
They came to my shop the week that these came out. Both delightful, but yeah, it's very much a they were doing this in collaboration with
together.
each other because they
So it was a
have been
planned. Yeah.
they worked so long with each other.
So I have to say, so the You'll Do Bad Things. I liked it. I read the first issue. I liked it. But then I opted just because of it's a numbers game. I stuck with we're taking everyone down with us, and I'm going to go back and revisit You'll Do Bad Things. So they did. I did like that the setup of that one. But yeah, this one it's like a has a really fun James Bond feel with like the big villain organizations and how these characters all connect there and backstabbing and it's just all mixed up with a dad and a daughter story and which we've talked about many times if that's the root of a book I'm a sucker for it so really enjoying this series.
No matter how dark or terrible some of the things get, he calls her Starfish,
Yep.
and you're right back
Like,
there.
oh, it's just a, yeah. He's not necessarily a great guy, but he loves his daughter, and that's universal. So,
So you talked about how this particular series, this is not on my list to talk about here, only because this isn't one that I necessarily think of as a summer series. I want to say it was about April that they came to my shop, and that's sort of the frame of mind I have for this. So, but this has absolutely been one of my favorite books of the year. I I expected, and I don't know why I did this, but I expected to like the Tyler Boss, You'll Do Bad Things more, and it's just, and I love that book, but this has been so absolutely delightful. And you talk about the sort of James Bond character. So it's a spy story where the spy is the bad guy in this, as far as he's the antagonist. Our protagonists, the ones that are trying to move the story forward might be villainous. I don't, it's not, we're not talking about any spoilers, but that's kind of built into the premise. The super spy, the James Bond character, is the bad guy in this. And he's kind of an absolute jerk. We talked
yeah,
before about those unrepentant,
it's
you're two for two on books that have sort of roguish types that are,
yeah,
going there. But one of the things that I'm delighted about this is even though we're taking everyone down with us is only 6 issues, the branding on it is a Rook spy thriller. And so what I'm really hoping is this particular story, we're taking everyone down with us, is only 6 issues, but we're going to get other stories set within this world using some of these same cast of characters, so we'll get sort of this shared thing, much in the same way that James Bond, each film stands on its own, but we have those common elements, even as the actors change and anything like that. You still have your M, you have your Q, you have your money penny. Those are all common elements that you'll get to see through here. And of course, in a comic book, you're only limited by sort of your artist and your imagination, so you don't need to be recasting your actors or your M's or anything like that. But I'm right there with you. This book is great.
It's just one that again, when it comes out, like I want to read it. I have to read it. It's a lot of fun. I think for me, when I think of like summer reads, I think in the experience I get from it, and it reminds me of like a cinematic experience with the kind of the James Bond series and just blockbuster type movies, and that's the vibe I get from it. So that's why I've associated the summer. I'm like, it's just that's a great movie that I would want to go watch.
Now, Matthew Rosenberg is one of the writers that I absolutely love. In fact, his uh, sort of his debut work with Tyler Boss, Four Kids Walk into a Bank, is one of my all-time favorites. And when I met them, I trauma dumped about a
Yeah.
friend who's no longer with us that we had with that, and seemed to mean something to them. But I'm curious, is this your first Matthew Rosenberg book that you've read?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I I am a big fan of Matthew Rosenberg, but I will be the first to admit that not all of his books have been
Or-
hits. He's had some that are, not as great here, but yeah, I for the most part, I think Rosenberg is one of the most reliably funny and clever and quick writers that's going there. I mean, think about whichever one when they get found by uh they're on the train, and the guy just sort of takes it for granted that the robots can't lie, and so he like puts himself into these like very clearly, and he's like, well, if not for the fact that I know that these robots can't lie, I would be very suspicious right now. And
Yeah.
then it's like, robot, did you just do this? And it's like, no, question mark. And it's like, well, I guess I'll just believe you. And just like
Yeah.
such little things like that are executed so well.
And
Um,
that's
yeah,
really what surprised me. Like I wasn't necessarily expecting that humor aspect, and it feels so genuine, and it serves the story well. Like I it was surprised to find it there, and I was so happy to see it there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a book that utilizes humor to keep it moving. It never gets bogged down in its jokes. It never sort of like takes too much time to sort of play out. It's quick, it moves, it works. We've covered a lot of real estate in this. We've met a lot of characters, and yeah, this is very likely going to be one of my top 10 books of the year.
yeah, likewise, it's just so fun.
If we're done taking everyone down with us, my next book is a book I believe you've also been reading, because I want to say we've talked about this. This is another one that kind of started earlier in the year, but I went back and read the trade once that came out, which was over the summer, and I think it just reads as such like a delightful summer book, and that is The Seasons. So that is also coming out from Image Comics. This is coming out from, you mentioned Jeff Johns as the your top of it, Image. I'm pulling, from maybe the other biggest imprint that is going on at Image, and that's Rick Remender's Giant Generator. Um, this is a book that he's doing with, and I can never remember. It's a Paul Azteca, I think is the artist that's
Paul
on it.
as a Seda, I think it's up. I think is
As I
it.
say, okay,
I mean, that's how my brain remembers it. I could
let
be totally
me.
wrong, but yeah,
I want to make sure that I'm
yeah, get that
giving
right.
credit here on this one. Rick Remender, The Seasons. Paul Azaceta. Yep.
Okay, cool.
If anyone read Outcast, that Kirkman did, it's the same artist who's on that. And again, Remender is a guy that I generally don't follow in a series to series comic, just because, and this is like greedy on my behalf, I guess. he always comes out with these beautiful oversized hardcover editions that are just smaller than absolutes and are some of the best value in comics. And so because of that, like I've been burned before where it's like I was following in either issue or trades and then like they announced the big one. I'm like, well, I already have this, so I'm not going to upgrade, but I really want to. And then I like
Yeah.
look at them and I'm like, like Seven to Eternity. I'm like looking over at my shelf and I get mad every time I see it. And I'm like, why aren't you a big hardcover? But for those that haven't been following around, this was a book that Remender talked about how it sort of inspired with a Euro comic and specifically bande dessinée, sort of your Belgio-Franken um, comics that have like a little bit more of a sense of whimsy, an all ages book that can be going on, and he marks sort of influences as both Tintin, classic Eurocomics series, and kind of Hayao Miyazaki, and I think it works so well on those. And the idea is that this follows a family of four sisters, each named after a different season, who have all been kind of split up, apart and gone their separate ways, and all have their own little things that they're doing, all in the search for their wayward parents, who were famous explorers. And it's all set while a villainous carnival is coming through the town. And from issue one, I knew I was just absolutely delighted. They gave it the oversized treatment. I want to say it was close to like 64 pages.
Yeah. I think it's a long one.
And it might not have been that, but it was certainly like a bigger, longer
Mhm.
one. In the entire issue is basically our character that we're following along, who is the youngest of the seasoned sisters, on her post route, trying to retrieve a wayward letter from her sister that's just flying on the wind all the way through this town. And it was such a clever way to just sort of introduce us to this town and the character. So as it's going in through the store, she's going in through a restaurant and oh, sorry, 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 and just hey, and you're getting to see all of these different things. And the art in specifically the color of Azaceta is so vibrant and lovely. And again, much like Exquisite Corpses, the book is just so fun.
Mhm.
And it's fun while there's still a sense of danger and a little bit of foreboding. But, you know, I wouldn't have any issue giving this to my 7-year old. I think there are some moments where she'd be like, "Oh, Daddy, I'm a little scared," and like
Mhm.
kind of hold on to her. But it is very much hitting just sort of an all ages tale that really can be enjoyed by everyone. I am delighted by the building intrigue that goes with it. Again, so much of what I love about this is just sort of the whimsy of the art and the color work that's there. But I for anyone that did read, especially the early issues in that issue one, I know some people were a little turned off by that issue one, saying like nothing happened. Like I read an issue and a girl got a letter.
Exactly.
And in some ways that did happen, but when you give it the room to breathe and when you think about sort of what that was there, it was delightful and clever. And in the context of the trade, I think it does really, really well. And this is, again, just one of those that anytime it comes out, I'm just absolutely delighted by.
I mean, interestingly enough, like that issue one is probably one of the single best issues of a comic that I've read this year. Like for that reason, like it's just so different, and it establishes, and whimsical is really the word for
Mm.
that, especially that first issue, but the whole series in general. Um, it was a great way to say like if you enjoy this, you're going to enjoy this series,
Yep.
and if you didn't, then you probably might not be for you. And I think that's you might as well know that up front. And it's not like they went in a different way. And you really could just read that issue and almost be done with the series. Like you could experience that first issue and just have fun with it,
You
and
could
then just have it be like,
absolutely.
oh, there's this carnival that's coming, and you don't need to necessarily read more,
You'll want to.
but
You'll
you want to,
absolutely want
right?
to.
Yeah. I think I stopped. pulling it monthly because it's like I'm gonna
Yeah.
want to read this in chunks. So I think I read maybe up to issue five, or I forget where they're at now, but I think I read about five issues of it. And yeah, I thought it was such it's not like anything I've personally really ever read before. But it was another one of those number ones, like, oh, the seasons, sisters. Okay, yeah, I'm on board, and I loved it. I really loved the series, and you're right. You could give this to. There is just enough creepiness to it, but the overall tone is just it's fun and foreboding.
And I would be remiss if we got through this whole time without mentioning her pet goldfish Gilbert, who on her,
It's
adventures
like
as she's running around going, Gilbert is just a fish in a fish tank that she speaks to and basically invents dialogue back and forth and just sort of like you see like blub. And it's a way that allows us to sort of flesh out and get dialogue out of a situation that wouldn't be there. But it's just delightful and
just
absolutely.
the choreographed movement of the
Yeah.
first issue is just such it is worth that just to experience that visual storytelling.
Oh, and I mean, if you were, inclined to do so, I think from the way that they did that, you could probably map out this town. Like
Yeah.
you could like say, okay, so letter went here, here, here. Okay, so this location must be here in relation to this. So the bakery's here. So this is over here, and this is going here. And like you could probably do a pretty good like, okay, this is what that town looks like.
Yeah. I loved how you introduced all the people of the town. And the great hook about the issue is that it's so far it's all fun and it's a letter and you're going through the town and there's the
Mhm.
people. Oh, hello. And she's speeding by on her scooter. And then it's the very end and you're like, there's this creepy circus carnival that's coming.
And then she opens the letter and reads what's there.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay. So that combination was a great hook.
Yep. Cool.
Excellent choice. Yeah.
What you got for us next?
So I'm gonna go. So this one, again, it's a limited series. It's been going there on like the back half of the series, written by Dan Waters and art by Hayden Sherman. It's
Okay. Yep.
Batman Dark Patterns.
Hmm.
So the way that
Can
this
I just say
series,
before you go on,
yeah,
I'm mad at this series that it's going to be 12 issues. And those of us who wait to read DC until it gets collected have to wait until March of next year because they're not doing a 1 through 6 that I could like read. They're only putting out a complete
the
collection of 1 through 12. And so I have to listen to jerks like you
yeah.
tell me about how great this series
Have
is.
Have you read any of it yet,
Nope.
or none of it? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, I won't spoil anything. I will just give you the tone and why I kind of associate it with the summer is the way that it's broken up. So it's a 12 issue series. Every three issues is a single case that Batman is working on. So issues one through three introduces a new villain, kind of deals with that villain, and then issues four, five, and six are a separate case. It's the same continuity. It's the same Batman, and there are connective. At first, you think it's just. I mean, I thought it was just individual cases of this young Batman. It takes place. I think it's a year three is what they say. So
Okay.
year three Batman. So it's just a way to establish that he's still young in the career of Batman. What I love especially about this is that he's not perfect. He's not. He's the Batman that doesn't have an answer for everything. He's the Batman that makes mistakes. He relies on people that maybe he shouldn't rely on. So it's who Batman has become in current DC continuity, and this is for a while now has been past like probably 25 years. Like Batman has had an answer for everything, and a contingency plan for his contingency plan, and he's that perfect character. And I don't like that version of Batman. I want a vulnerable Batman, and the detective who's figuring things out, who's looking for those clues, and the clues aren't obvious, and you kind of as the reader you discover those clues as you go, and so the reason I think it's a summer was issues I think 7, 8, and 9 came out over the summer, and that's the third case that Batman is working on. And there is an element of the origin of it's a new kind of origin of the Red Hood gang, and that talks about that, which I find very interesting. So I like when they do old Gotham kind of
Mhm.
stories, and yeah, it's been a fascinating read, and in a time where all of the headlines are absolute Batman, Hush to this is the book that I would give to anybody to pick up and read because it's the Batman that I want to read. Absolute Batman I've enjoyed. Again, it's another one that I dropped off monthly because I'll read it in chunks. It's Absolute is a good alternate take on Batman. It's interesting. The Dragotta art is fascinating. I enjoy. I think Scott Snyder is a guy who understands Batman. So I like that series, but we've kind of have seen different takes on Batman. So he's a very malleable character. You can put
Yeah, I mean, we've also seen Scott Snyder write
write
Batman
Batman
before.
for
So,
10
I mean,
years, right? So
this is, Absolute is a different version of him, but it's still ostensibly Scott Snyder writing Batman.
yeah, and that was initially when I was like, when he was announced for that, I was like, well, I've read that version. I'm not shy about how much I love the Capullo Snyder run. There are elements of stories that later in the run that people didn't like. I really loved the Jim Gordon as Batman storyline, where a lot of people kind of fell off, like, I don't buy that Jim Gordon is Batman, and which is fine, I understand that. But I, as one who likes Jim Gordon, I was like, yeah, what would that be like? And it's not a permanent thing. It's not going to be forever. So you just enjoy the ride. But anyway, so he's coming back for Batman, and I was like, oh, I've already read that. I don't know if I really need to do that. But it is interesting. I mean, it's one that I enjoyed, but you know, it's a different take on Batman, and I don't need to stay current on that to enjoy it. I can read that in chunks, but Dark Patterns had me from the beginning, and I don't pick up a lot of DC Marvel stuff. It was the fact that I started reading Absolute Wonder Woman. I enjoyed Sherman's art in that series, but that was one that I was gonna again wait on. Like I'll wait on reading Absolute Wonder Woman. But then I saw Sherman was on a Batman book, and I thought, okay, well, what is this? I looked into it a little bit, found out it was a younger Batman, which is that obviously spoke to me, and then I was instantly hooked on this series, and it's one that I'm sorry to say you have to wait for, but I think it'll be worth the wait.
I've seen some of the pages. Felix is repping Hayden Sherman now, and I've seen some of the pages when they've gone up. I haven't purchased any, and I haven't got two Hayden Sherman pages for the price of one, unlike some people on this
Yeah, that was
podcast.
amazing. Never happened before until
Um,
that time. Anyway, yeah.
but I've just been fascinated even with these images without context, and I'm not going in far enough that I'm spoiling the series for myself. But much like the Absolute Wonder Woman, I'm taken with his use of panel layouts
Mhm.
that don't rely on squares and rectangles. I
Yep.
mean, the standard American comic, is based on rectangles and different orientations. And Hayden Sherman is playing around so much more. We get a lot of circles. We get a lot of, you know, um, even in some of the pages I've seen, different sort of logos and icons. So,
Mhm.
I saw this one where it was like penguin framed in like a bat signal, and just
Yeah.
it just looking at the pages, and Hayden Sherman's is someone that I have really liked their work for a while. I was very surprised to see such high profile DC work, when their style is so different
Mhm.
than sort of what you would typically see for that. And I know Kelly Thompson's talked about that with Absolute Wonder Woman, where, she had to basically go and sell DC on Sherman's style. But everything I have heard about this particular series is, like you said, this is the kind of Batman I want to read. It's your classic detective stories. Batman is Detective Comics. That's where it came from. It's a younger one who doesn't have everything figured out. And Dan Waters is a writer that I like a lot and is not afraid to take chances and make things weird. And
Mhm.
in some of just like the blurbs I've heard about the series kind of without context, so you're not spoiling it, but I heard something where it was like a haunted apartment building was a villain in one of them, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know what that means, but I would like to know what that means.
Yeah, there's just just this cover alone, like
Yeah, yeah.
like
And Batman versus the apartment building,
versus a
and
building. Like what?
and
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I've heard anyone who has read this series, I have not heard one person say bad things about it. And basically everyone that I've heard talk has said like exactly what you're saying, where these are the Batman stories I want right now, especially where I've heard Taylor's detective series, people generally like that, but the main Batman title, I think people have been a little up and down on. People, it seems like Zdarsky's kind of wrapping up a little earlier than people expected. And also after that first arc, I think people aren't as high on. And then Hush Tua is maybe not what people had hoped for. And, at the time that that's going on in the flagship Batman title, that people are kind of like, I don't know what I was looking for with this. Like, this is coming out, and people are like, this is a breath of fresh air.
That's Batman. That's the Batman I want to read. Yeah, I've read that the Matt Fraction, the new series that's coming, the new Batman series that's
Yeah,
coming
it's
out.
as we're recording this, it will be tomorrow.
Yeah. And I've heard that that leans into more of the superhero aspect of Batman. And again, that's I'm sure it'll be a good story, or it could be a good story. It's just that it's not the classic detective noir story kind of connection that I really want to see. Like I like that old classic version of Gotham, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So I really think you're gonna enjoy it, and I'm angered that we have to wait so long to hear your thoughts on it.
I yeah, I this series alone has actually made me consider re-upping my DC universe, DC
Yeah,
Infinite, just because I don't want to wait that long to read this. That's how strongly I'm interested in that. And I mean, if a book can inspire me to, purchase an entire streaming service, like that's kind of the highest praise I think that you can get
yeah. I
in
mean,
today's economy.
the fact that it's a DC book that I mean I'm a DC fan. I enjoy I've talked about it before. We've talked about it before. Um, it, I grew up love DC Marvel stuff. It's just I feel like I've read most of my favorite Batman stories and my favorite Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever it is. I feel like I've been there and let these new stories find a new audience, and I can go look at some of the indie type stuff and see what
Mm.
else is being done in the world of comics. But so to have for me to go back to DC and pick this up and stay with it and be that intrigued by it, this is going to be. I feel like this is going to be like the a new generational kind of evergreen story. That will just it could be, oh, you want to read a good Batman story? There you go. There's 12 issues of a really solid book.
Yeah. Well, since I don't want to keep sitting here thinking about how I don't get to read this until next year, I'm going to jump in with my last book of this, and this is very different than the other books that we have been going. But in addition to sort of, you talk about, you think of summer as, big blockbuster comic, the this summer,
Yeah,
one
in
world,
Batman. Yeah,
world. Yeah. I also think of sort of summer as, like beach reading, like the kind of thing that you can go and it's sort of it's breezy, it's fun, it's the kind of thing that I can enjoy with a cold drink in one hand and reading this over here. And the surprise book for me that has been that is Josh Pettinger's Tedward, out by Fantagraphics. I did not expect to love this book like I did. And in fact, when I finished reading it, I did not think I loved it like I did. So Tedward is a collection of almost like basically like comic strip style stories that are more adult in nature than you would typically get, but sort of very stylized, um, following this are sort of I'm not gonna say down on his luck, but like one of those a protagonist that things routinely do not go his way, and he sort of just continues to go through, and it's just very goofy, silly, delightful comics, and it's one that stuck with me in a way that I did not necessarily expect to. Like this is one that I read while I was back on the East Coast when I was back in New England, reading it, with my morning cup of coffee, looking out over a small lake. And it was just like, it was so delightful. Every story that I was reading about his new misadventure, his new failed relationship, and just as it was going on, it was everything. It just kind of left a smile on my face. And it was, like I finished and I was like, that was really pleasant. And I thought that it would kind of just end with that. And I'll just, be walking around and I'll just sort of think to myself of, some of the random things that he get into. His invention that he develops a particular pair of pants for a problem that no one else has ever had before, and then ends up having to wear them out on a date in a way that he did not mean to, and it just because they are a little bit more adult in nature. I'm not gonna sort of go through what they are here, but it's just goofy and refreshing and delightful in a way that I want a summer comic to be.
Nice. So is it a graphic novel that they released, or is it series limited? Because Fantagraphics does a lot of the collected edition type stuff.
Yeah,
So that is it a
so it came out, I believe, individually as like mini comics that were like self-produced by it, and then Fantagraphics picked up the collected edition. So it's when you get it, I read it digitally,
Mhm.
but I think it's about 180 or so pages of just like different adventures going through, and like it's kind of that classic comic strip style where it's like Tedward in, and it's like the name of
Yeah.
that adventure that he's going on, that particular one, and just
And that's
it's
a good vacation type thing because it's easily
yeah,
digestible, quick story. Here's another one.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it was one of those like I would finish one and I'd be like, I think I could probably get through another before the kids wake up, and
Yeah,
kind of going through there. So yeah, like I said, as I was reading it, it wasn't in a way that's different than the other two. Whereas like as I was reading, I was like, I'm sucked in. I am so in on this one. This was one that like kind of lingered, where it was as I was reading it, I enjoyed it. I had fun, but it sort of got better for me the more time that like it distanced from it, and just
yeah,
like I really did like that.
that's
That was
great.
great.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I love and part of why I look forward to having these conversations with you because uh, I love your take on comics. There's so many things that as I kind of branch out from, my comics journey is there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of years where I've stepped away from comics and a new shop opened up recently in the past, I guess, year and a half, 2 years. And so I've been enjoying more my this stage of my journey with comics and the way that you approach comics and the things that stick, jump out to you and stick with you. I look forward to hearing more of those, and that's the classic example of like a bunk discovered series that was like, okay, I sound like I'm on board with that. So yeah,
Well, if we are going with Bunk Classics, I do need to point out it's on Hoopla. So,
yeah,
it's one that I'd sort of known of, and recently over the summer, Fantagraphics did a big drop of a lot of their stuff that had come out, within the last year. So, I got to, that was one I read. I read The Wrestler because, of course, I read a comic, called The Wrestler. The Eternaut finally came back into the print, and they have that available digitally in a way that hadn't been. The new Mickey Mouse comic. I actually have that physically, though I couldn't tell you where my copy is right now. But that was one that was on there. So it's just it's been great to go ahead and discover those. And like I said, it was one that sometimes Fantagraphic stuff, it's really sort of like indie, and it's like a little bit trippier, it's a little bit more out there, it's a little bit headier, and you kind of got to like go into it. This just very pleasant, very fun.
that's cool. Yeah. I like those that like stick with you. They
Yeah.
stay with you, and your appreciation for them grows the more you sit with it. And those are the types of experiences that I want to find in comics now. So that's great to hear that that's another one that's out there.
But yeah, those have been the books that we have read this summer. So for anyone who is interacting with us in any way, love to hear what you guys have been reading and loving this summer. Because we're always looking for new things. Like Carl said, the way that we discover some of our favorites is talking with other friends and fans and finding that out. Like I would not have so much comic jealousy about Dark Patterns if not for everyone going out and being like, "Hey, this Batman book is exactly what you're looking for, but you can't read it till next year."
Mhm.
So please let us know down below or over here or wherever, whatever platform this ends up on, and then you interact with us. Let us know what you guys have been checking out.
Yeah, because
Uh,
as we kind of look at at our the stages that we are at our life, like there's not necessarily a lot of time to always to dive into comics, and you can't read it all, you can't discover it all. You don't have I don't have the time to do that. So I love hearing suggestions and hearing what people are reacting to, what's positive. So please share those stories with us. Absolutely.
But that is going to finish us off with comics. Now I want to take us beyond the world of comics and find out, Carl, what is one thing going on in your life, non-comic related, that is eating up your brain time, your physical time, and this is non-parenting thing because we'll get to that to close us out. But talk to me about where you are right now and what you're feeling.
I never in my life would I have expected to tell you that how satisfied I was by having new kitchen cabinets. Never thought that would be like, oh, this backsplash is really amazing. So, yeah, well, that's where I'm at. We just finished a kitchen remodel. It's something we've talked about doing for years. We've owned this house for I think 9 years, and my daughter's 8. So the kitchen was always something that we wanted to redo, and we were able to. It's spent most of the summer doing it, but we knocked a wall down, moved our laundry upstairs, expanded our kitchen, added an island. Really wanted to make it this communal space for that. The kids get a little older, they can do homework. Just to kind of invite them in to sit at the island while they're cooking dinner, or whatever we're doing. And so far, even the first day of school today, it was awesome. Like just having them sitting there eating their breakfast, more involved in what we were doing. I was sitting, standing there talking to my wife, and it was just to have that family moment. I'm excited about all of those family moments to come. So like right now, it's all about I just walk into the kitchen and go, yeah, the summer kind of sucked because we were without a kitchen and without laundry for a huge portion of it, which was not great. But thankfully, we have wonderful neighbors that I would pick on, like, "Hey, can I do a little laundry?" But yeah, that's my headspace right now, is just very appreciative of what we were able to do, and now that we're on this side of it, that it was all worth it. So,
That's awesome.
how about
Not
you?
not where I expect you to go on
Yeah,
that
well,
one.
like I said, I didn't expect to be like, oh, I'll just stand in the kitchen and just appreciate, like, huh, this came together great. But yeah, anyway, that surprised me.
Yeah, so I would say that right now, there are two things that are sort of, for non-family, non-comics that are sort of living in my head rent-free right now. The first of which is the return of the NFL season
Oh yeah,
coming in 2 days. So I live in Cleveland. There have been some things with football that happened here over the last few years that really kind of pushed my enthusiasm for the sport way down. And, I sort of even took basically a year off of football at one point because of that. And just
yeah,
over the last few years, I've been able to sort of rediscover my love for the sport through my own team, the New England Patriots, who are hopefully trying to come out of the darkness. And I could not tell you a season where I have been so excited as I am for this one for it to come back. But honestly, that is only the second most exciting thing that is happening this week.
ooh,
And the most exciting thing is after years and years and years and years, to the point that I did not think this was still happening. One of my favorite video games of all time is finally getting its sequel. And I am someone that is normally I wait until this go like years to play a video game because I've got such a backlog
Yeah.
and I wait until it's like $10 or something like that. This
With
is a
with all the DLC and like that,
yeah,
I've done that too. I'm like way beyond. I'm
yeah.
behind on everything because like I just want to wait to like buy
Yeah,
it
exactly. It's like I
all of
don't
it
like
and
I'm not
cheap.
gonna play it right away.
Yeah.
Not this one. This is a day one purchase. And that is Hollow Knight Silk Song. Oh my goodness. I love the original Hollow Knight so much. It is probably it is an all-timer for me. And this game they have been, supposed to have been working on. And it became almost a meme that this wasn't coming out. It's like the next Song of Ice and Fire book, Winds of
Yeah.
Winter. It's like, sure, we'll see that coming out. Um, there were all these hints every so often that there was something that was at like an ESRB page would be updated and like its Steam page changed a little bit and it was kind of just like yeah we've seen all of this and then like 2 weeks ago they made an announcement. They're like it's coming and it's coming in 2 weeks. So we went
Whoa.
from having like
Nothing. Like
nothing to being like it's coming out in 2 weeks and I am so absurdly delighted and excited to play through this. And actually, I played through the first, not the first, Hollow
yeah.
Knight, the only one that existed, right after my daughter was born, and I would stay up with her as she was falling asleep, and she was like rocking down, and I would play through this, and I was so enwrapped with this world that I was exploring there, both as a new parent with this that. But I was like stuck inside my house doing all of this, and this game was like a portal to this different, wonderful world I wanted to just explore. That I I was so intensely playing it that I was worried that I would wake her up when she would fall asleep. And so I had to start playing this game with blankets and pillows on top of the controller. So every time I would play it, I would have to do this setup
Yeah.
to like to dampen the volume of just my click 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 clicking, and it is just some of my most favorite video game memories of all time. I played through it again earlier in the year, and it was still just absolutely delightful, just exploring this world. And I can't believe that in 2 days I get to finally play the sequel. And to anyone who is out there who is also a Hollow Knight fan, I give you a warm sha from Hornet from the bottom of my heart.
That's yeah. And again, that's another one I'm not familiar with. I can't say that I am. It's another one of those video games. I have a tendency to do that. I just go in stages where I just completely drop
Hmm.
out of games, and then something will spur my interest, and I'll get back into it, kind of hardcore. And I'm kind of waiting for. I think once my kids are really more into it, and we're kind of delaying introducing games to them just because when's the
Yeah.
appropriate time. But that'll be when that happens. I think is when I'll get back into to more gaming.
Yeah, this is not one that I can like. This is
Yeah,
very
it's not
much a
a
single player
yeah.
environment. I mean, it's not like a I'd be happy to let them watch. It's about like
Yeah.
a bug exploring a world and like you kind of fight against things. It's not like whoa, you guys can't see this, but
It's not Bug Wars, the version of
no, not Jason Aaron.
yeah.
Writing this one. Yeah, we've been playing a little bit of Pokemon all together.
Mm,
So, we will like pass the controller around and we'll all kind of like work together on that. It's slow going, but it's been a lot of fun.
yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I think that is going to bring us to our last segment, which is tell me one heartwarming or hilarious parenting thing that happened to you within the last week or so.
I got a good one today. And it's just a little funny, you're driving in the car with the kids in the back seat and their conversations. It's just, it's crazy how kids, even though you're sitting in the front row and driving the car, they somehow think that you're not hearing everything they're saying. It's this bizarre thing, like oh, it's fine. So their first day of school was today, and my daughter in third grade, she's like super pumped and talking. She was talking to my son, And she was like gloating. She's like, I get a Chromebook this year. And my son goes, well, what's that? And then she pauses. She was, hey, mommy, what's a Chromebook? Like, you have no idea like what you're gloating about, but you're like, I'm in third grade. I get something you're not gonna get, but no clue what it is. Don't care. But yeah, she was totally exposed for just gloating. So I
Nice,
thoroughly enjoyed that.
nice. My daughter, who was in second grade, did get a Chromebook for her birthday from my parents. So uh, thankfully, she mostly just uses it to watch PBS Kids, which I don't hate.
Yeah,
PBS
yeah,
Kids got some banger shows on there, but yeah, it's there's some cool like educational resources that are on there. So I don't hate it in a way that I would be worried
potentially.
about for
Yeah,
other things. Plus, she put some Jesse stickers on it. So
nice.
I ended up grabbing when I grabbed my Jesse Lonergan stickers. One stuck to it was uh oh I have I don't have
The
that one,
the
but
Monster Squad. It's like all the like Universal. They're still. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I feel like they're so special. I can't just like put them on anything. So yeah,
well, the ones that I got from him were a lot of like his Animal
like
Squad.
animal stuff.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I ended up having a an extra raccoon playing a guitar because they ended up sticking together, and so she has a Jesse Lonergan sticker on her
That's awesome.
Chromebook, which you know
Those
I
those
I feel
designs are just
oh,
amazing. Like I'm glad he's doing the panda delivery service, like something with those type
yeah.
of animals. I think that's super cool. So
Yeah. But yeah, my parent moment came from last night. So as we recorded this yesterday, it was Labor Day. We had as is pretty common, we did some grilling out. It was we did some yard work, kind of got things ready to sort of close things down, and then we went on a family walk to end the night. And my son, who is again just started preschool, he's 3. He will be 4 in November, so he's very large. I'm a large human. I'm 6'6". He is he's also large, but he's 3, and so like for most of his life, he's had the most ridiculous running form, where it's like the least efficient way that you can imagine, where it's like every single part of his body is moving, and it propels him forward so little. And just as we were on our walk yesterday, he decided he was going to run ahead of us and you guys can't catch me. And it was like running just clicked, and he just like he actually had running form, and like my wife was basically like sobbing, and she was just like,
yeah,
he runs like a kid now,
get it.
he's
Yeah,
just running. And I was like, yeah, he's straight, that's what happens. He's like, but he doesn't run like a goober
yeah,
anymore. And she
yeah.
was just like losing it, and she's still not happy about
It's
the fact.
always so hard when they lose those whatever those little things are, they be
Yeah.
it their hiccups, the developmental, like typically what you would consider like, oh, when's he going to get past this? No, you want to hold on to those because
Oh yeah.
they're so uniquely them. And then when it's just like that it's everything is like, oh, that phase is gone now, and that version of him is gone now, and it's just this the things that parenthood does to your
Oh
brain.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like when he was like a toddler, his feet were just like so fat. Yeah, that it was basically like he had spheres that were attached to his ankles. It just like these orbs that were just there that he was like walking on, and they were like ridiculous like that. And then when he sort of grew up and got like regular feet, it's like, you have boring feet now. What happened to
yeah.
those things you had?
Bring those back. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think we've had a full conversation here. I
Yeah.
think episode 1 is drawing to a close. I appreciate you hanging out with me here late on this Tuesday night. Carl, got anything you want to plug or tell the people?
No, I mean I've got a couple of videos. I actually have a there's a box of art from
That
Felix
that looks
Comic Art.
Felixy.
That's a Felix delivery. So that I need to get opened up and recorded. So that's something I'll be putting on the
You
channel
can you
quite soon.
give us a little tease?
That
Is this a Hayden Sherman or is this
it is possibly for anyone that has been reading The Moon is Following Us, it is quite possibly the most dad page that has ever been created. And
is
that's
this
the
the one that
tease.
I think it is?
That is the one you're thinking of. Yeah, and there's two pages in there. So there's another page too, but that's the page that I have to get opened up, and I'm dying to see it. So it's so think about like recording videos of unboxings. Like I want to see this now, but yeah, I'll save it for soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I am excited to see that since as we had conversations before that was like I have my page from it. That's kind of what I was looking for, but I was like, if I had another. All right. Well, with that, I think we've had a full conversation here. I
Yeah.
think episode one is drawing to a close. I appreciate you hanging out with me here late on this Tuesday night. Carl, got anything you want to plug or tell the people?
No, I mean I've got a couple of videos. I actually have a there's a box of art from Felix
That looks
Comic Art.
Felixy.
That's a Felix delivery. So that I need to get opened up and recorded. So that's something I'll be putting on the
You
channel
can you
quite soon.
give us a little tease?
That
Is this a Hayden Sherman or is this
it is possibly for anyone that has been reading The Moon is Following Us, it is quite possibly the most dad page that has ever been created. And
is
that's
this
the
the one that
tease.
I think it is?
That is the one you're thinking of. Yeah, and there's two pages in there. So there's another page too, but that's the page that I have to get opened up, and I'm dying to see it. So it's so think about like recording videos of unboxings. Like I want to see this now, but yeah, I'll save it for soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I am excited to see that since as we had conversations before that was like I have my page from it. That's kind of what I was looking for, but I was like, if I had another page, it would be that one.
It's such a great page, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see it.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, ladies and gents, I want to thank you for joining the club for however long this ended up being. You know, it we couldn't be a club without you. Two people a club does not make. So from the bottom of my tired dad heart, I want to thank you all for coming with us. And hey, we'd love to see you soon.
Take care.